Hello and welcome, everybody, to another episode of Toonkind at 12 frames per second. I am Authorticity. I will be playing, as always, the ticked off chicken. I am joined by.
Hi, I'm Candlestick, and today I'm going to be playing Crystal Everlight, who is here because probably Juniper asked her to help out, and she's like, yeah, Juniper's my friend, and this is the friend of Juniper, so yeah, I can help.
God, I'm excited. So we begin. Actually, let me put it this way: would Crystal come to TOC, or is TOC, I don't know, meeting Crystal at some sort of place of study?
Um, Probably she's coming to TOC because her residence at the moment is currently in the middle of being restored after whatever happened to it when she was away.
Hmm.
um, yeah, Dew and I have not played the game where she comes back to what Eenie, Miny, and Mo has done to her apartment, but I'm considering it's bad enough that she would not be inviting people to her apartment at the moment, and it's kind of hard to find a room for yourself on the campus.
God, it. I'm having flashbacks to the beginning of the FPS I did with Dew, where my character Natsus News basically witnesses them finishing up trashing the joint.
Yeah, that's it.
God.
Yeah, that's her apartment. Eenie, Miny, and Mo is just guests there. Sort of.
Rest in pieces. Alright, so it's probably the middle of the day when you are let into Juniper's apartment. And it has been requested that this takes place somewhere where TOC is comfortable with because apparently they're a little bit nervous. And as a result, you're ushered up to the roof of the building.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um, would Krista like to make me a perception check?
Oh boy, would I. Alright, what's your perception? Ah, yes, that's right. Well, that's
All right, 10.
dead average.
It's average. So, I mean, it's not that complicated of a space. You find yourself standing in the middle of a rooftop garden that has been mostly packed away for the season. There's a couple of cold frames and actually, a small, like a closet-sized greenhouse. There's rows upon rows of sort of raised garden like boxes.
Hmm.
And you can see like there's a little, little markers where things were, um, and presumably will be once again once the season turns again. There's it looks like a few flowers and vegetables that have been sort of optimistically, you think, tucked into the greenhouses and the cold frames. Like those aren't super well insulated, but we'll see.
I
Um,
Yeah, I suppose this makes sense because I don't think Crystal has much knowledge of plants and
hmm,
gardening. Not her forte.
you know what? That's fair. Um, and you will, with a 10, notice that the person, quote unquote, that you are trying to find is not within immediate range of vision. You do, however, hear something uh, because it is very loud. It sounds like a little bit like someone chopping wood, a little bit like sort of, if you can think of like when you sink like a fork into something sort of hard,
Mm.
like that sort of noise.
Like the
And it seems to be
shop.
coming from, sure, well, maybe a teensy bit crunchier.
Ah, okay.
And it seems to be coming from the side of the roof that you are not facing, on the other side of the stairwell.
Um, I think she will probably call out then, because uh, I'm not sure whether you listen to her FPS with Juniper, but she does tend to be very polite when you know, being invited to someone else's place. Like she doesn't like overstepping boundaries, so she will probably call out, "Hello." And I'm not 100% sure whether she probably would have gotten your name from Juniper in the would she have gotten your name from Juniper?
Well, here's the funny thing, because the TikTok chicken is a little bit limited in terms of how they communicate. And in sign language, instead of, saying, "Hi, I'm author," you say, "Hi, I'm Auth."
Yeah, yeah.
So Juniper knows them as talk instead of TOC or the TikTok chicken.
Okay, okay.
So that's what you would know them as.
Yeah, so I think she would say, hello, uh, Talk? Are you up here?
Hmm. The noise stops, and there is, what I will say for the audience, is the sound of a pitchfork being pulled out of something hard that has been thrown into, uh, and the sound of little chicken feet. And around the corner comes a small black chicken with very angry eyebrows, little old lady glasses, and uh, sort of, you can roll an insight, but they look a little grumpy.
Uh, I think she would have continued along along the lines of, "My name is Crystal. Juniper asked me to meet with you. Said you needed some help," and sort of trails off as they're like, "Ah, this is a chicken. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this."
No one ever expects a chicken.
All right, insight,
Well,
insight. Oh, that's not too bad.
a 15. Well, with an insight of 15, you definitely guess that this is like a Toon chicken. Their outline actually looks a little bit patchy. Like they look very realistic. Um, but they are a Toon, and they are, they have the mind of a person, and they are nervous.
Ah,
Like it's you a good analogy might be someone who is afraid of the doctor going in for a checkup.
ah, yeah.
Um, the grumpiness is just like resting bitch face, actually. Um,
Okay, that is something Crystal can both empathize with and has, like, the resting bitch face is something she can empathize with, and the nervous because of the doctor is also something that she has encountered before, but she's still not very great at, like, soothing that, but she's like, "Ah, yes, this is a fairly normal reaction."
means not again. Mm. But the chicken sign language hello. I don't know if Crystal knows sign language.
I
And
Yeah, keep going.
they sort of they put the pitchfork down. It is a full size pitchfork relative to the small chicken. And they put it down, and they waddle around to sort of be a conversational position to you.
Yeah, I did think about whether Crystal would know Toon Sign Language before this game, and I came to the conclusion that probably yes, because again, like, I know from her own perspective. One, she has studied languages before, so that she doesn't have communication barriers in her work, and two, because she does work with like people at the hospital and stuff like that. She's probably run into an normally high number of people who don't speak like speak physically, so like figured that learning Toon sign was only appropriate for her.
Mm, that makes sense. So you are perfectly able to understand the Chigan when they sign, "Hello, it's good to meet you. I am TOC. Yes. Um, please make yourself at home."
um I think yeah, she will sign back hello, and maybe look around for a spot to sit.
Mm. Yeah, as you do, they sign. I can hear just fine. Speaking is a little difficult, but hearing is not a problem.
Ah, okay. That's good to know. Um
Mm.
should I make another perception check for a spot to sit, or
No, there's like there is a surprising number of places to sit. Like there, you could overturn a bucket. You could sit on the corner of one of the raised boxes. Like it's that's they know that you're coming. There's things around, and
okay.
that they have specifically asked you to come up here. So that's the least they could have done.
Aw. I think she will take a seat then, and then I'm gonna roll hammer space. Yep. And she pulls out her notebook and a pen. And she well, she asks, so how are you? Don't jump as much as she used to jump straight into these things, but then she found out that it makes people a little bit less a little bit less nervous to like talk to them and give a little bit of idle chatter first before jumping into the. So why am I here today, and what exactly can I help you with?
Uh, I hold Crystal very soft. Oh, that's always a hard lesson. Um, the TOC settles into sort of a little potato shape on the ground in front of you, and sort of ruffles their wings, and uh, they sign, "Well, bad, but I assume that you have heard a little bit of what's been going on from Juniper. Um, but okay, I things have been worse in the past. Um, like it's you have attempted to make small talk with someone who does not make small talk easily.
Oh, I love it. I might just roll a history to see how much she did pick up from Juniper. Mostly because not
Mm,
more from the how much was she able to piece together from Juniper's jumping between subjects, sort of like there was probably a lot of information that got given to her.
mm.
It's not bad.
At 13. Yeah, so it's I assume that you Crystal would have heard, the vague sort of what happened during Sunday. Probably the fact that TOC has some sort of magic shit going on and they don't quite understand what exactly it is. With 13, they are undergoing some sort of process, some sort of transformation,
Mm.
and they do not have agency over it and they don't know the rules.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely something that Crystal herself is like, I don't, I don't like it when this sort of thing happens, and like that in particular, like the one having no agency over it, and two not knowing what's happening is like very big no-nos in her mind. Like this is the exact sort of thing that she wants to bring um like clarity and reassurance to people on, so they don't have to be scared of like what's going on.
Mm. Yeah, and in addition to that, I think that TOC will sign. You should know. I don't know how much Juniper told you, but we might be getting a visitor at some point. The one who did this, they're harmless. They're creepy as hell, but they're harmless. Um, feel free to throw flower pots at them. They're they're distracting, but I'm pretty sure they can't actually do anything.
Well, throwing flower pots is not usually my style, but I do have a couple of things hopefully prepped just in case.
Mm. They nod. They sort of look approving of this, like, yes, good. Feel free to beat their ass. Um, they encourage violence here.
Crystal is not combat savvy, but no, but she does have like some utility stuff on hand just in case it's needed.
Mm. Yeah, and um, I think that they hop up to sit next to you and sort of reshuffle their feathers and fluff their their wings and things, but like they just sort of like, yes, I am here. I don't know what you're going to do as a wizard to figure out shit, but yes. Um, and as they do this, one of those like point and click menus comes up, like for video games.
Yep, yep.
Um, which uh, it I'm not necessarily imagining like the Undertale menu, but like if you are ever at a loss for where to start, where to continue, how to press forward on something, you can hit the little like folder button, and it has a list of actions.
Hmm. Um. It. Yeah. I think in that case, this because this is a physical thing that Crystal's seeing, right? Or is this like
Uh,
for me, the
More or
player?
less. Yeah, it's just something that Crystal's seeing.
Okay, because Crystal.
TFC does not see. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Um, Crystal, if this is visible to her, she will definitely have a quick look at it to see what she's got to work with at the start. Like, yeah, this is what she does. She gathers as much as she can.
Mm. The actions in front of you right now are question, examine, uh, distract, or fight.
Oh, good. um, I think she will click on the question box.
Mm. And the list of questions, there's also, you can ask any question you like, but there is, where did you come from? What has been bothering you? What are you afraid of? And what are you scared of will happen?
Hmm. I think the first thing she asks is probably not one of the questions on the list, but I think she will sort of look at TOC and go, uh, so what is it that you want to get out of today's session?
They, hmm, they think about that a little bit. Well, I also think about that a little bit. And they sign, I have already died once. I am not as so scared of that, but I do not like the uncertainty. I do not like knowing that at any moment something can change and I do not have the tools to predict it.
Hmm.
I want to be sure that I can do what must be done.
Right. Okay. And like she's making a little note, and then um hold on. Can can you list those questions again? I just might write them down so that I've got like I can refer back to them.
The questions will change over time, but there was, let's see. Wait, actually, I had these written down myself. No, wait, fuck! I just remembered that notebook got damaged. Okay, they were. Where did you come from?
Yep.
What are you scared of? What are you scared of will happen? And I don't remember the second one. But if it's not, it should be what do you know already?
All right. With that in mind, so it feels like TOC sort of answered what are you scared of. So I think she will like bring up sort of prompt a little bit further. Is there anything in particular you're scared of happening?
Um, they sign. I would rather be alive. Um, I do not want to become just another chicken again. Um, I do not want what is happening to be undone.
Okay. Um, that yeah, that sort of the loss of autonomy is not uh would is not surprising. The don't want what's being happened to be undone is a bit of an interesting one. I think she will make like an underline under that's a very important thing um to be wary of, as that this is not just as simple a matter of trying to undo what is happening in order for there to be less uncertainty around the matter. It's actually of a the things that have happened are actually useful. I'm just scared because I don't know what's going to happen next. Is essentially what she's getting.
Mm, yeah, and I think, can they see the notebook?
Yeah, it would be visible.
Mm. I think that they settle and they ask. I don't know how much Juniper, I suppose, would have told you about my origins and what prompted all this in the first place. Um, it the story is long, but if it would be helpful for you to hear it all from the beginning, I can certainly oblige.
I think she will nod. I don't think Juniper, for one, is the sort to tell other people's personal information like that. But regardless of that, is it's always very good to hear from the person themselves, their story, rather than getting secondhand information. Like, secondhand information is perfectly useful if it's all you have access to, but first-hand accounts, especially with something this personal, is always much more favored. And I think she will say something along those lines of, uh, yes, if you don't mind, a personal account would be very helpful.
Mm, those are both fair points, and I think that they sigh and they do not look particularly enthusiastic. But to be fair, they haven't so far. They it's interesting as they like sort of like take up this stance, and their signing sort of gains this cadence to it, like a storyteller,
I think
like a trained one almost.
I think before, if Crystal does pick up on that sort of hesitance, she will sort of say, "At no means are you ever under any pressure to give me information that you are not comfortable with, but I must let you know that the more information I have to work with, the better I can do my job."
They actually they soften a little bit at that, and they sign thank you. It is not a happy tale, but it is unavoidable for the work we are doing. There is a place, perhaps 10-20 miles outside of Toontown, called the Bog. At least that's what we knew it as. There perhaps are names I do not know. And that is where I am from. It has always been very strange, and it has always been a place where magics mingle and things do not always act as they should, particularly when it comes to memory. What was, what may be. Um, and just outside the bog, there was a farm, and on the farm there were chickens, regular chickens. Me and my sisters. Um, they they are not with us anymore. They cannot be questioned on this, but um, we were taken care of by a girl who was very clever. And when she saw that disaster was going to strike us, she could not save my sisters, but she saved me, and she took me deep into the bog to hide and returned home to her family. Um, but they, I don't know what happened while I was in in the bog itself, other than I was alone, except for when she visited. But when she was at home, things were bad. I can't tell you any more from that, but chickens are not made to last. And eventually I was felled by the natural forces of the bog. No great tragedy, just how things go. But I made a wish that I could be enough for my girl, to take care of her, to make things be as she deserved them to be. And something heard me. And I think they stopped because they have been signing for a while and I've been talking for a while, and they sort of look up at Crystal for a reaction.
Yeah. Okay. You're welcome to roll insight if you'd like on Crystal.
Sure.
Oh wow.
24.
That's a 24. Yep. Um, okay. Yeah, well, for one, she looks very, very serious. Like she is taking this very, very seriously. She is putting her all into this. Um, you get sympathy. There is definitely sympathy around your story in that it's not a nice one. But as as well, like it's there's things of it, like, the things that make it tragic is the everyday life of it, more than the supernatural for the most part. And that's sort of what makes it all the more tragic and like hard hitting. Um, and you also get with that 24 that there is a little bit of like uh hitting sort of close to home for her as well, potentially having a bit of personal experience with not quite the same but similar sort of uh emotions, I suppose.
Hmm. Okay, good to know. You're just gonna file that away. Actually, they they when they pause and they take a good look at your face crystal, something in it like sort of makes them stop, and they, without saying a word, uh, cross over to the stairwell and disappear into the house.
There's definitely a moment of uh dot dot dot, what do I do now? I'm like, this has never happened before.
Mm. And they come back with a tray balanced on top of their little chicken head. And on the tray is 2 mugs of something hot and steaming and a blanket.
Oh, oh, um,
And they sort of slide the tray onto something nearby, and they sort of like flop the blanket over her lap. Like she can move if she wants, but also like, here, have some comfort. And they take up one of the mugs with the, like, it's very brusque. It's very like, here, good things, take these. Um, but uh, a little bit of warmth for this a gloomy November afternoon.
oh, she will take it kind of awkwardly, like there's still that sort of like blink blink, this is not what I was expecting sort of thing before, kind of like a grateful awkward smile as she sort of like adjusts it so that uh it's like wrapped around her without getting in the way of her ability to, make notes and stuff. And I think she does uh, make a little bit of a awkward no cookies from Juniper, huh?
Sign. Well, if you're disappointed, I can always go back and get some.
No, that it's fine. That that was supposed to be a joke.
That was also supposed to be a joke. Um, I love Juniper very much. I love her cookies slightly less.
Yeah, there's there's a bit of a yeah kind of look.
And they have given you they the mug is full of tea. Um, it I have no idea how Crystal takes her tea, but it's tea.
Hmm.
It's not bad tea.
I think
Like
Crystal.
it's sort of a hearty roasting sort of blend.
Hmm. Crystal. Crystal is picky when it comes to a lot of things, but tea is something that she actually quite enjoys the variety of. So like tea is was a very good choice.
Mm. Yeah, it's like it's sort of like I don't know how to quite explain it, but like a lot of the older herbalists that I've had the chance to talk to have these blends that sort of like make your back stand up straighter, like a little bit of spice, a lot of like very like sort of like oh yes, I'm going to be prepared for whatever faces me.
I love those sort of teas.
Mm. But yeah, they I think they just like sit in silence for a while. TOC drinks their tea by dipping their beak in and throwing their head back and go
I
because that's how chickens drink.
I love that imagery. I'm also just sort of picturing like the camera sort of like zooming past TOC doing that to Crystal who's sipping her tea normally, but just sort of watching this with like uh mild interest like I'm not sure if I've ever seen anyone drink like that, but it's kind of rude to stare.
They're probably used to staring when they do that. This is uh probably a rough 50% of the time this is how they imbibe beverages. Um but yeah, we have a tea break.
Yeah. I think once Crystal has sort of finished with her tea, she will put the cup carefully down, and that's quite a story. I can see why it is not one you particularly enjoy sharing.
Fine. I have gotten better at it. The the thing that heard me, um, I do not know much of. You would have to ask them. But they call themselves the Dead God. Um, they are a god apparently, and I'm pretty sure they're dead. Um, and they go on signing for a bit. But Crystal, do you want to make me another perception?
Yeah, I can do that. Ooh, 16.
16. You're sort of as you're listening to TOC, like they're signing, so you have to sort of keep your attention at least on them. But past them on the street below, you see a figure sort of step into existence, and they waver for a sec. And what's someone from Crystal's past?
Oh, huh. Um, hmm. I'm just thinking who would be the better option here? I'm tossing up between two options. And
You can roll for it.
uh, hmm. Okay, I'm gonna roll for it. Okay. Right. Okay. So looks like we
Oh boy.
um it is her sister. Um
Hmm.
and I can give you some more information of what her sister looks like if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Well, and this was actually information I had not been planning on sharing for a little while, but it's
Oh, hun.
no, this is fun. Um It is shorter than Crystal. She has more of a she does not have the same sort of stained glass look that Crystal has. She's got a lot more of a toony, like chibi sort of look to her. It particularly got the big head and the smaller body. And similar sort of colors to like skin tone and hair color to Crystal, but a bit darker. She's got her hair up uh, like buns, two buns on the top of her head, and is wearing a very bright neon colors and a white tutu. And she also has a pair of very colorful wings behind her back.
Oh my gosh. I'm holding very soft. Candle. The hold on. Back into I need to get back into the scene. Jeez. The the person that Crystal spots across the street looks a hell of a lot like her sister, but not quite. The wings, the colors are wrong. The way that she has her hair, like the buns are like in the wrong position on her head. Like it's if this is someone trying to, pass themselves off as your sister, they're doing a very bad job.
Mm,
And they look around and they focus on the roof. And it takes a second before they make eye contact with you, Crystal.
I think,
And I'm going to roll to see if TOC notices.
yeah,
Oh, I'll let you roll first.
I think I need to have Crystal make a whiz save. Okay, not so great.
Oh no.
Like, that's still a 10, but yeah, she's definitely frozen up at that.
Oh, man. TOC, with an 18, I think that they notice both the dead god in the street and also Crystal. And they, like, almost like a tennis match, their head whips between one and the other. One, then the other. Fuck. And they well, first of all, they turn and they flip this person the bird. You can decide whether or not that helps with Crystal being frozen up. And then could they roll an insight check to see what Crystal needs? Like
uh,
how can they help?
yeah, you roll an insight. Oh,
Fine.
that's a 9. Yeah, you, um, she sure is panicking. um,
Mm.
you definitely get, uh, you think it might be, guilt, um, and sort of, fear and also anger, um, because she has put together that this is someone who was taking the image of her sister, and so yeah, she's shaking a little bit. Yeah.
Mm. They is she still staring at the dead god?
Yes, she is not looking at TOC whatsoever.
I think that they're going to flutter up onto the edge of the roof, sort of breaking line of eyesight, and they sign a very gentle, okay, you're okay. Take a moment. You're all right. And then they turn to the street below and they sign, what the fuck is wrong with you? You always do this. You always pick the worst people to do. Like, they're basically going off on a little tirade. And the the facsimile of your sister like blinks and looks at them, and like does sort of the arms spread out like, hey, what did I do? And takes another step and turns into an off-color version of Juniper.
Oh, I don't know if that necessarily helps because Crystal also knows Juniper, and I think
Mm.
it's the fact that it's no longer her sister does help calm her down, but like she's no longer shaking. She's sort of collecting herself in that sense, but she's still angry.
Mm. And as well as she should be. Um, like TFC is still like basically chewing whatever this person is out. And I think they have actually begun to sign across the street because they're not yelling. That's ridiculous. They also sign like, I just got here. I don't understand how you can always be this mad already. Don't you get tired of like this sort of like this bickery sort of like it
Yeah.
honestly might remind Crystal of like siblings bitching at each other.
Yeah, yeah. Whether that's a good thing or not at the moment is up for debate.
Mm, I think like TUC like sort of makes a rude gesture and turns away, and they flutter back over to you and like they're going cautiously, like sort of they don't know what to help with,
Uh, that
but
that was another whiz save, by the way. So she's pulled herself together
okay,
at this point. Like
okay,
you honestly did probably the absolute best thing you could have done for Crystal, which was to ground her and like in this moment, and it's and you know, allow her rational thinking to be able to um work through what's going on, sort of thing. So with the time that you guys have taken to basically have this silent shouting match has been enough for her to figure out what like what's going on, at least to a small extent, and to be able to just like get herself just, you know, back, shove all of those emotions back into their little box hidden in hidden away. Whether or not that's healthy or not is up for debate, but that's what she's doing because right now she's here to help TOC not deal with her own stuff.
uh gosh, well she TUC is just sort of like not hovering uncertainly, but like they are regarding her with sort of a gentle sort of concern. Like it's could be grandparent-ish if this wasn't like a chicken, but um like it they sign they will take a few minutes. I'm pretty sure they will want to avoid Juniper inside. I don't know how they plan on getting up here, but I'm not inclined to help. Can I ask if you're okay?
Yeah, you that small chuckle probably did actually was probably in character. And she will sort of uh it took me by surprise. Uh, I was not expecting that. Um, I'll be okay. Um, that's the dead god, I presume.
They nod. They are wildly annoying. Um, it. I actually I haven't tried in a while, but I'm pretty sure I could chase them off. You don't have to deal with them if you don't want to.
No, it's fine. Like, if it is not something you want to deal with, that is fair. But it might even be useful to be able to talk to them. They might be able to provide some insight on all. And she gestures at like her notebook and TOC. This.
Mm, yep, that. They nod, sort of respecting that. Actually, give me one sec because despite the fact that I fed the cats before we started recording, I hear one of them at my door yelling. So I'll
Yeah,
be right back.
take your time.
Why are you like this? Come here. Don't run. The cat has arrived. Sorry about that.
You're good.
All right. Um, let's see. What was the last thing that happened?
The insight on whether like the dead code could probably maybe add some clarification potentially.
Mm. They nod reluctantly. Sign. I will warn you. They are one of the most irritating people to talk to I have ever met. But they are as honest as I think gods get.
Well,
So,
that would be a change, so I guess we'll just see.
hmm. And I think that like the camera is on them, sort of having a pensive moment, and then it pans over to where the dead god is standing, and then back to them, and then back to the dead god. Like, oh wait, hang on. And TUC looks over and looks completely unsurprised, and they go, "I was pretty sure that I threatened you with the fate worse than death if you ever came near this building again." They go, "Well, if you can think of anything that's worse than death, let me know. I'm always interested in suggestions." Dr. Everlight, is it? And they have turned to address you. They now look like a TV headed Toon with a bow tie instead of a normal tie. I don't know if Crystal knows who Triniton is, but they look like an off-brand version of him.
No, that's not someone that she recognizes, but I think she's put enough together to know that it's someone that TOC knows. But so there's a bit of
Yeah.
a raised eyebrow and what can I call you, seeing as you know my name?
I discarded my name when it was time to die. Names of gods are identification, after all. I
Yeah,
mean,
funny that.
mm, I am the dead god. I would appreciate no nicknames. Again, I am trying to fade into obscurity.
Well, from what I just saw, you're not doing a very good job of it.
Hmm. They sort of shift, and then they look like a tall skeleton in clothing that's not quite correct. And then they look like I think that they look like Eenie, Miney, and Mo for a second, and then the three heads look at each other and they're like, "This is uncomfortable," and they go to the next one, and it's just like a classmate that Crystal no longer has any classes with.
Hmm.
Like they say, "I have given up my form. I suppose a Toon would say I have no design. So I borrow forms that are reminiscent of my old domain, of the past, of what has been for a long time and what has not been for a long time.
I just want to make a note. Crystal is writing this down.
Mm. Yeah, that's allowed. You can also see, like, as the dead god talks, TOC is sort of off to the side of the screen, just like rolling their eyes and making unimpressed faces. Like every time this person tries to be mysterious, they're just like, "Oh my god."
That's fair enough. And honestly, Crystal would maybe find them pretentious normally, but she's sort of still in like, yes, I'm still in helping mode. Therefore, I am trying to get as much information as I can at the moment.
Mm.
So I think in that regard, she will ask, um, so what is it that you get out of this uh, pact that you have made with TOC with well, she still wouldn't know it was TOC. She would still call them talk. I'm sorry.
Mm.
With
No
talk.
worries, no worries. The chicken is my last obligation. I have made them a promise with a price, and I will fulfill my end of the bargain, one might call it.
Hmm. And that price?
Time. And they smile, and it's not a happy smile. And they say, I was once the god of long periods of time, of endings that become something else, of stagnation and the break from stagnation. I deal in time, Dr. Everlight. Not eternities, but things that may as well be them. It's really hard to be an ominous character when my cat is making noises in the background. I apologize.
That's alright, we can just pretend that it's TOC making as much of a nuisance of themselves as they can to like undermine the grandiose of this god.
They're making, like, they have crossed their eyes and stuck out their tongue behind their back, which is very interesting on, like, a realistic chicken. God. And they conclude, um, I've given them what they needed in exchange for time.
And what is it that you get out of the bargain?
They stop and consider, and they go, when I was a young being, I was a god that granted wishes. Perhaps I did not want such a wish to go on unsaid, ungranted. Perhaps I was just putting off what I had set out to do.
Which is to fade into obscurity.
To die. I went to the bog to end existence. Again, I was never a god of eternity. I was only a god for long periods. And nothing that deals in the finite can truly call itself the master of finite without an ending itself.
Hmm. The line between finite and infinite is one not well defined, but I suppose
Mm.
that is semantics in this situation.
They nod, like, well said. Uh, and they sort of glance down at your notebook, which like probably doesn't have as many notes on them as it does TOC, but like probably enough.
Mm.
They go, I would be interested if you have a prescription for me.
Well, I will admit, gods are a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but um, I can see what I can find.
Hmm. They lean back and steeple their fingers, sort of regarding you, and then they look like a giant red snake, which has no fingers to steeple, and they look a little frustrated. And um, they go to, let's see. I think that they look like a giant sort of metal centaur, sort of done over in what looks like metal daisies.
Hmm.
And TUC makes a hissing noise, and they roll their eyes and pick someone else. A
um,
couple of times you see them start to flash towards people from your past and not TOCs. But they seem to be making an effort not to freak you out again.
that's very good because there are a couple of other people from her past that she would not want to see again.
Hmm.
Like, I will say
Perfectly understandable.
it's people. Because here's the thing: is that like people from that she's met more recently, she has less of a connection to, but she's also less bothered by them taking the forms of them. But the people from her past that she does have like a deep connection to, she does not want to see in the god forming as them.
Perfectly understandable. Very valid. Yeah, they are. They're basically like they're cycling through people without like as long as they look like someone, they don't seem too bothered about exactly who. But they are trying to be conversational and not getting fireball thrown at them.
Yeah, yeah. She's gonna be honest. Like on the end of that last conversation, where she's like, I am here to help TOC. If those, if that mean, if doing that aligns with what you want, then so be it. But if it doesn't, then I can't help you.
Of course. I do not presume to take up too much of your time, Doctor. And they give you sort of a smile. They turn into a little Toon girl with curly black hair and sort of this flowery sort of frog dress, very sturdy boots.
Hmm.
Uh, and TUC makes not necessarily a noise, but just you hear them react in some way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Crystal does make note of that. And I think she might mention your current form seems to be causing some distress.
They blink and they turn into another person that you don't recognize. Um, and you probably feel more than see TOC relax vaguely.
Hmm.
Sign. or they sort of. I don't know how I want to say this, but they sort of look between you and TOC and sort of like survey the vibe. Like you kind of get the feeling that they're gauging what to do here.
Mm.
And I think that they sign or they say, I'm used to using that verb with TOC. Perhaps my question to you, Doctor, would be, what do you need from me? And again, you see, you still have the point and click menu for TOC, but you also have it for the dead god.
Yeah, I think she will definitely investigate that because this is something like this is a very good opportunity to get some answers and stuff, but it is also very uncomfortable. So the more efficient she can be with this, the better it is for everyone involved. So yeah, she's gonna investigate the menu, see what she can glean before answering.
Mm. You have the same, you can question them, you can uh examine. There's I think another list of like smaller actions like small talk, et cetera, et cetera. You can also fight this one. There is a like the colors of that button are kind of like dulled out, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And if you click on say question, then you get the same, where did you come from? What do you know? What are you scared of? What are you afraid will happen?
Interesting. I think she might do. The first thing she will do probably is an investigation. So may I roll that?
Absolutely. And may I clarify, on the dead god or on TOC?
Um, Probably centered on the dead god, but with TOC as a secondary like thing.
Makes sense. All right.
Hmm.
14. With a 14, you from this presentation of this creature, you like they do have like that sort of like divine ethereality that comes with a creature that is not of this world. So it's
Hmm.
like, and just from the arrogance alone, they're eh, probably a god.
Yeah.
Um, and they're like they don't look like a Toon god, if that makes sense. They don't have an outline. They don't have sort of a style to them, other than the style of whatever creature they're emulating.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this seems to be something that did not originate with Einquell.
Yeah. Yeah. That is definitely something of note.
The 14. I think you also get that like they even when they look like someone very young, they hold themselves. The way that they comport is very old. Like it's if this person is below 80 years old, you'd eat your notebook. But you get the feeling that this person has been around for a long ass time.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, there is a difference between something that has been around for a long time and something that has a mentality that is older as well.
This is very true.
But yes,
With TOC,
probably getting
oh
getting
sorry,
a sense of both of those things are true.
mm, yeah, and they like they're being sort of cavalier about it, but or Cavalier. I always forget. But like they do seem relatively invested. Like their eyes are on you. They're paying attention to the the the, the conversation. I perhaps that's about as much as I want to give you in terms of
Yeah,
that for a 14. But
that's fine.
hmm. And with TOC with a 14, you are around a lot of magic, just sort of as your day to day, correct?
Yes.
Like this, she is a wizard. She lives here. Um, you feel like you should use you'd have to dig deeper to get anything definitive, but there is a magical sort of vibe or signature to TOC that has a very like now that you're paying attention, a very definitive feel to it.
Hmm.
Like sort of like this like almost coppery, almost, a little bit damp. Like
Yeah.
this reminds you of fresh air with a smell to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. If I rolled an Arcana, would I potentially get more?
You could do Arcana. You could, if you have something that, sees into other realms that, I don't know, detect
Oh,
magic.
yeah, she
All of
does
these are
have
things.
detect magic actually.
Mm, yeah, it's like don't let me limit your options.
She
Um,
has detect magic and identify.
mm,
So I'm just trying to see which one is probably the better suited one here.
yeah. Whichever one you choose, would you mind checking it in the roll zone?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, There are benefits to both, but I think she's gonna go with identify, and I will chuck that description in for you.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Must touch. Guessing the spell. What spells, if any, are currently affecting it? Hmm.
Mm. You can take that how you want. I think.
When you stretch out a hand to sort of pat TUC's back, um, you are overwhelmed with a feeling of it reminds you of a time during your state university when there was an accident in the lab and
Mm.
it wasn't a huge one. Like people had to stand underneath the magical decontamination shower, everything needed to be thrown out.
Oh yeah, she would
But
definitely have remembered that because that would have been an inconvenience.
yeah, but you sort of got roped into um sort of chugging everything into the garbage, and you remember touching one of the components, what like the object that the spell was going to affect, and sort of the singing wrongness of it, if that makes sense. The
Hmm.
like it this was accidental magic that had an accidental effect. It wasn't controlled, it wasn't measurable, doesn't fit right. It made it just it made your skin like stand on end.
Hmm.
Like it was bad to touch.
Yeah.
And as you cast the spell on TOC, you get the same feeling of someone was irresponsible with this. Something went wrong.
Hmm. That
What
is
like
something interesting to her.
mm, like this is sort of a wild sort of magic. You do get, that's a divine, I think, but it's not necessarily a spell and more an ongoing, like if someone like took the collar off of the spell polymorph and let it run through the woods and lost track of it, it might be a little bit like this.
Hmm. Right, okay. Yeah, okay. I think with that information, I think she's going to ask the dead god, what is it you're afraid of?
They pause and they look at you and they look at TOC. They say, all I want is what I accomplished, or what I set out to accomplish when I came to this continent. Roll an insight check.
Okay. 8.
I'm I'm gonna say TOC like scoffs and gives you the help action, and so you can roll with advantage
Thank you. Please do better.
because TOC is fucking sus.
16 is better.
A, a 16. You look at this person, quote unquote, this entity, this god apparently, and when they say that their hands clench in their lap, they like for a second they fear is not the right word, but you kind of get the idea that what they said was true, but they are desperately hoping that you do not ask more questions.
Yeah, fat chance of that. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not really
Mm,
sorry.
yeah, you shouldn't be sorry. This they're bastard.
I think she will press on with the and what is it you came to this continent to do?
I came to this continent to erase my influence from the world. With that 16, you can actually see them like carefully picking and choosing which words to use. Um,
Hmm.
and they go on, in order for something to fade away, to avoid the chance of revivification, certain steps must be taken. Obscurity is so much more complex than it should be, I think. And there are always consequences.
You don't know what went wrong.
They they look at you silently. I I have only suspicions. Nothing that would be of help. TUC, by the way, is watching this like it's a goddamn tennis match.
uh, well, um, Battle of Wits is always very interesting with Crystal because it's kind of like technically it should be something she's very good at, but she's also a terrible people person, so I honestly have no idea whether she's coming out on top of this or not.
Hmm. I mean, if it's a battle of wits, she's well armed. Let's say that. But it, and this is like I haven't let them roll, deception or anything yet. But like it's, I'll say you can roll another insight if you want, but it's, I'll say for the audience that you have them on the back foot. Like they're still here for a particular reason, but they were not expecting things to go this way, which always seems to be the way on this goddamn continent.
Welcome to Inkwell, buddy.
Mm, a 10. Was that insight?
Yes.
Mm. With a 10, like it's, you already got that like they're hiding something. So with a 10, I'm going to say that like you kind of get the feeling that they are still disinclined to elaborate on whatever they were thinking of.
Hmm. I'm think I'm going to roll a d2 to see what she says next, because I have two potential things that I think she could ask, and I'm not 100% sure which one she's going to go with, so I'm just going to let the dice decide.
All right.
Okay. She's going to ask, has she put together that like has with everything that she's gotten so far, has she put together that TOC is becoming more Toon like?
I think that much Juniper would have said yes. And
Mm.
they mentioned earlier that they started out as a regular chicken. They are obviously not anymore because they have cartoon eyebrows and glasses and a little bit of an outline.
if you're if you're a real kind god, then why is your influence making TOC become more Toon like?
That was a procedural decision. One of the many reasons they wished to be what they were not was that they were fragile. Chickens are. They are short lived and they are made to be taken care of after so many years of domestication. But Toons are one of the most durable races out there. It is famously hard to kill a Toon.
So it has nothing to do with your own goals, then?
My goals? No, I do not think so.
Hmm. I don't know. Can she roll an insight on that?
She absolutely can.
16.
Man, a lot of 60s today. Or at least two of them in a, maybe not. Um, but you can see them actually like stop and sort of like ponder briefly, but they like they seem sure of their answer in a way that they weren't when they were holding something back.
Okay,
Like it's
okay.
they're probably telling the truth this time.
Fair enough. Okay, that's what she wanted, is basically, are they telling the truth in this matter? Because I will explain my thought process behind this afterwards. But she's keeping that, she's just checking avenues of uh mm, what's the word for it? Like theories that are not solid yet, sort of thing. With like eliminating those sort of things with some of these questions.
Yeah, she's formulating hypotheses as she goes.
Yeah, pretty much. Um,
Scientific method, folks. Those fun tunes too.
and she's even writing it down. Well, she will write it down once the god is left because they currently have access to her notes and yeah, so she'd rather write it down in privacy.
Mm, makes sense.
um I think with that out of the way, I think she will go back to the points before about what are you scared of, sort of thing, and the fact that she knows that they weren't being honest with her, and I think she will say, um you know, I tell all of the people that I work with that they do not need to tell me things that they are uncomfortable dealing with. But dishonesty and hiding things often makes it harder for me to do my job.
I am confident, let's say, that I have not been dishonest.
No, but you have definitely not told us everything. You have been selective.
Mm. I think TFC actually sits up at this, and they they track your gaze to the dead god, whose eyes definitely flickered to them, uh, and they sign. What did you do? What don't you want me to know, old crone? And they go, they say, I have not withheld anything. They go, bullshit. And rather than talking to myself, it let's see, what would this be a role for? There is a trend in this conversation that I am wondering if she would pick up on.
Do you want me to
It could
roll
be.
a straight intelligence, maybe?
I'm gonna give you a choice between insight, history, and insight and history.
Alright, well, I know which one I have a better modifier on. So I'm going with history.
All right.
Oh, wow.
A 25. All right. With a 25, you learn their social security number, their full name, their like. All right. Through, there's something itching at the back of your head, and as they sort of bitch back and forth to each other, you're listening to the the way that the dead god is insulting this chicken. Like it's the and the more you hear them talk, the more you kind of realize they never say anything that is out and out untrue.
Mm.
Like it reminds you a lot of how some of your the people that you worked with that have fey blood in them speak.
Ah.
But they when they do it, there's a lot less grace to it. Like it is almost like they're not used to this limitation.
Interesting. Um, yeah, there'd be a particular reason that she picks up on that. Um, especially because I'll tell you this much. She has studied at the Evershore Isles before, so Fey
Oh,
magic
damn.
is something she is very familiar with.
Hmm. In that case, again with a 25, you're also thinking back to the identify spell on TOC. And you. How do I want to say this? Sorry, I'm thinking on the fly here.
Hmm.
Okay. You definitely just sort of staring at them and sort of like taking in their aura. Like it's you can see their influence in TOC. Like this is the architect of what they are for to an extent.
Mm.
But with that in mind, that sort of realization that there is something fey to this creature now. You see, like almost like a drop of ink in water. They're like whatever they are has been added to. They when they cast whatever they cast on TOC, their magic was a little different from what it is right now.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, excuse me, one sec.
Yep.
Sorry, the cats are continuing to be hooligans.
That's all good.
Gosh, again, I don't remember what I was saying. Apparently, I have the attention span of a goldfish today.
That's all good. You were talking about the fact the Fey magic that it wasn't there when they did whatever happened to TOC, and it's like a drop of ink in a bowl of water, I believe.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, yeah, it's and with a 25, I will also say that like again, it feels accidental.
Hmm.
Like it's like whatever is there was not planned to be there. Was not something that they were like, ah, yes, today I shall do this.
I think
This like
I think perhaps she will then say, "What lengths have you been going to reach your goal?"
they look back at you a little bit taken aback actually. And they say, I have done as I have always done. I have my power. I have been using it to the best of my ability. And TOC goes, that could mean literally anything. You could have said I did a thing and it did some stuff and it would have given us more information. And they go, you shut up.
uh, yeah, Crystal has sort of narrowed her eyes at him, and you have been mixing magics with no idea what it will do.
They blink actually, and I'm not going to make you roll an insight. For a second, they have no goddamn idea what you're talking about. And then their expression clears and they go, ah, no, I have well We all have our scars, Dr. Everlight. This was not something done on purpose.
Okay. The fact that she has picked up that they can't lie, she's not gonna roll an insight on that. But it is an interesting point. I think maybe at this stage she's going to uh because things have like this has been a lot of information learned, but it's kind of hard to tell uh how much of it is useful for the initial goal, which is help TOC understand them themselves and like hopefully like uh reduce some of the fear of what could happen in the future. Um, so like I think she's going to try and get back on track with that. Um, except I have absolutely no idea how.
Yeah. I mean, it's these are both two beings that are older than you, but like she could just be like, "All right, children, let's settle down." Like it's. I will point out, by the way, player to player, that like this is the like it, this if she's trying to reverse engineer some sort of machine, this is the inventor of the machine.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
But unfortunately for what she's gathered so far is they have no idea what happened. Like kind of, but
mm,
not really. And well, that's helpful.
I mean, it. I would argue, but also, it. I will also point out that again, you have questions that you can ask. There are actions. There are a couple of other buttons. You could, in theory, fight the chicken. Um, I think that TOC will actually like. I think that they sort of like check your expression, like sort of looking for signs of discomfort, looking for like, and they go, do you need them for anything else? Because I will very gladly toss them out.
um, I think I think she will sort of sigh and go, um, I am sure that there is more that can be gained, but at the moment we seem to be starting to go round in circles.
I think TOC like turns and stares very hard at the dead god, and the dead god looks back at them and goes, "What? What?" They stare harder, and the dead god sighs and uh shifts around until they find a form with pockets, and out of the pocket they pull what appears to be a a calling card,
Hmm.
and with apparent reluctance they offer it to you, and they go, "A way to contact me."
She will take it with
Mm.
a nod and it sort of professionalism uh like uh like thank you for your time.
Mm.
It
They
it's definitely a professional platitude. There is I mean, there is a little bit of sincerity behind that, but most of that is I don't like. you kind of like that. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to word this.
It's like when you say nice to meet you, but actually it wasn't nice to meet them at all.
Yeah, kind of the I mean, I would like I don't actually know whether to be like it's a pleasant thing to say thank you for your time, but also you're a god and you kind of also wasted a lot of the time that you were supposed to be helping us, and you know.
Mm. They nod, and when you look down at the calling card, which doesn't have actually any writing on it, it has a picture of a wilted flower that's so very dried up and desiccated that you can't actually tell which flower it is. Um, when you look back up at the god, they're gone.
Hmm.
And sort of that Batman sort of like this person has no manners sort of way. And TUC, I think just signs sorry.
No, it it was useful. There is it may amount to nothing, but there was definitely a lot of information that I can try and research some more information for you from.
They, I think they look pensive and they say, I I have some questions as well. It bothers me very much that there's something in this that they are keeping from me. Um, but that is not necessarily your concern.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Well, I cannot help you much on that matter, but I will tell you this much. They have been influenced by fey magic, and they cannot lie, and they are not very good at um, navigating the uh, um, navigating the expertise required to do so very well yet. That might be useful for you next time you confront them.
Mm. They, when you say fey magic, they stop and they stare at you and they sit very suddenly down. Like, oh boy. Sign. I um okay. That is that is terrifying news, but okay.
Yeah.
They um I should clarify. I should actually be very careful to clarify because I have grown to love and trust several Fae myself over the course of my stay in Toontown. The bog was the sort of place where you don't go out after night and you don't tell your children their full names until they're responsible enough not to tell them to strangers. Because there was a very definite chance that they would be kidnapped off the street and taken to the Fey realm.
Ah.
So it's if their Fey influence comes from the bog, then something has gone extremely wrong. Some Fey are Fey rules are often bleak. I don't know what to make of the idea that they are beholden to them.
Yes, it is complicating a matter that is already very complicated.
Mm.
You may roll an insight if
I
you'd
think
like.
Absolutely, I'll roll an insight. 16.
Um, I will give you Okay, I will give you two pieces of information with that. One is that she is definitely frustrated because when when uh people, and I'm using that term as like broad sense of the term, mess she really hates it when people mess with different magic types because it is often unpredictable and very difficult to untangle. Like it's usually like the most difficult to untangle because it's just no one knows what it does.
Mm.
And the second piece of information I will give you is that she's fairly intimate with the workings of Fae magic because she's half Fae herself.
Hmm. Interesting to note. They also know uh, a half Fae or two. Uh, I think that you, I think that you see sort of that recognition in their eyes, not necessarily like any sort of fear or mistrust that wasn't there before, but just like, okay, so I'm
Hmm.
dealing with someone who knows.
Yeah.
I think that there's a long moment, and then they're just like, why don't I go grab us some more tea?
Yeah, there's sort of a slight blink blink yes and a nod because she'd sort of been staring very hard at her notes like she was trying to discover the meaning of the universe from them.
Mm. Yeah, they go and grab some tea, and you have another mug of very bracing sort of like might be some cardamom in there. Um, and they eventually they set their tea back down or their mug back down, and they go. I suppose my question is, hmm, what can you tell me? And they're sort of trying to figure out how to word this. The the factor that brought all of this to light, the incident that made me worried. I the spell that is turning me into who I will become from what I was reacted badly to some transformation magic. We'd have to go back into the house, but I actually have the incident on tape. I will warn you, it's a little bit alarming, but um, I used an artifact that transformed me in a minor way, and the whole thing began to fall apart. And the same wounds that were lethal before reopened.
Hmm. Um. Could so Crystal did do that identify on TOC earlier. Um. Would they have been able to pick up transformation magic from that?
I'm going to say yes. I don't necessarily know if identify gives you the type of magic, but I'm going to say yes, you have that info, one way or the
Okay.
other.
Yeah. Um. It is hard to say for certain. Uh,
like I said before, the more I've dug into this, the more complicated it seems to be, and generally, I found that when different magic types interact with each other, the effects can be unpredictable at best. If you have had an effect with transformation magic before, uh, interfering with your own transformation magic, there is a good chance that other transformation magic may have a similar effect. As for other spell types, I really couldn't say.
They nod, accepting this. They they look pretty tired. Just sort of at the thought, just like it's the same look that you've seen from patients who are dealing with sort of chronic symptoms. Like this is affected the way that they live their life, the way that the way that they are, and they sign.
Yeah. Crystal is very familiar with that.
Yeah, I think that they eventually sign. Um, I should also clarify that the transformation is mental. I am. The world is so much grander than it was. I understand things that I could not. I am things that I could not have been. Um, and it is strange, but I do not mind it so much. But there are sticking points that come and go with emotions, I think. But reading and writing and understanding speech, um, these come and go. In that order, reading usually goes first, handwriting after, and then it is only at my lowest that I can't understand people.
Hmm.
But if there if there is one thing that I would like, it is to understand why I can't. I have never spoken, and no matter how toonish I get, no matter how much I feel I've progressed, if you could answer for me why I can't talk, that would be something.
Hmm. Um, I personally don't
And
have a good answer for that. But if you have anything you want to, like, if there's anything I can roll for Crystal to potentially help out with that, let me know.
well, you could roll Arcana. If you have anything that lets you see magical effects or sort of perceive, like this could be a detect magic situation. Like it's, I don't have all of Crystal's spells, so I don't know what your options are.
She does have
Like it's
detect magic as well.
yes,
So, perhaps, yeah, I'll roll that one. Do you want me to put that text box in the game zone?
sure.
And I can roll Arcana as well, specifically looking at the speech stuff.
Sure. Sorry, I'm just reading.
Oh, good. I'll roll that Arcana one.
Okay.
Ooh, that's not bad.
A 23 plus a detect magic. Okay. So with detect magic, you see an aura around a creature. And that's exactly what you see around TUC. It's this magic is sort of this very swampy sort of like earth tones. It clings to them. It reminds you of clay. It is malleable. It is like even as twisted and accidental and frankly poorly done as this spell is, it remembers what it is there to do. And for a second, it just looks like a spell. But with that Arcana check, with a 23, you shift and you notice there's sort of a pattern to this magic, like almost like puzzle pieces or like a vase that's been cracked and mended. Like there are pieces interweaving, and they are tight, sort of locked together. This is the weft of the spell itself. But as you move and your perspective on these pieces changes, you see at the underneath their waddle at their throat there is a large dull patch that there is it looks like a piece is missing, like something should be there that isn't, that whatever the spell is, one of its components has been taken away.
Oh, interesting. I think that sort of reflects on her face. Like there's that sort of like the eyes widen and then narrow as she sort of shifts.
And with a 23, gosh, how do I want to say this? Sorry, I'm trying to describe weird things that I don't necessarily know that English is made for.
Oh no, that's fair. Take as many tries as you want. Today's game has been high level thinking from both of us, I think.
When this piece was taken, something about the place where it was, that empty space where there is only blackness, makes you think it was taken by force.
This might be a personal question, but have you been in an incident at all with someone or something that affected your throat?
They look startled. They have been watching your change in expression with growing sort of okay, things are not going well, I see. But when you say that they're about to shake their head no. But then they stop and they look at Crystal and they say that the day that my sisters died, long before I was transformed weeks and months before. It was not it was the death of farm animals. It was not tragic, if in the long run, I suppose, other than it was my sisters.
Hmm.
And the way that you kill chickens is you chop their heads off. And I was the fastest, I was the fighter, I was the one who protected the flock. I lasted the longest without getting caught. But just before my girl rushed in and carried me away, the farmer did catch me by the throat. And they can't see detect magic like you can, but they press a wing to the section of their chicken neck where the dark spot is. I was only held for a second. I didn't even feel a squeeze. Before she grabbed me. She was very fast, my girl.
Crystal, yeah, she lets out a sigh, and closes her eyes, and opens them again, and there's no easy way to tell you this, but I believe the reason you can't speak is because you're missing a piece, and that of yourself, of the magic that makes you up, which is honestly, I would say it was surprising, but at the moment I don't think anything about this can surprise me anymore. From before, you were changed, but I believe that incident might be where your uh, missing piece is.
They think on this, and they look up and they sign, "Thank you." Answers are more than I could have ever expected to have. Thank you.
She nods, like, yeah, she gets that, but she does say, I wish there was more I could do, and I will continue to search with the information that I have, and I will let you know anything that I find.
Sign, "I appreciate that. I am in your debt, doctor."
No, this is
And I think
what I do. I No one should be in debt for something they have no control over.
they bow their head. They understand this very well. And I think that they sort of look around the roof and the weather, which is very bleak and very cold, and they sign, "I confess I am very tired of talking about this. If you have more questions, I would be more than willing to answer them, but would you like to come inside and have something to eat? I think the
Uh,
least we can do is feed you after this ridiculousness."
yeah, she will give a smile at that, and yeah, no, that was a lot. That was a lot, even for her. And she will, yeah, she smiles, and that sounds wonderful.
Mm. And I think that they head inside and they get some good hearty food. It's mostly vegetables, but it's very good.
Yeah, and
They
talk of
it is
lighter
made with love.
topics.
Yeah, like it's they are much more eager to talk about, sort of like the grandparent ish, like, oh, let me tell you about my family. What have you been up to? You might get
Yeah.
like offered some gross candy.
Yeah, I think because Crystal has never actually had grandparents in her life, so this is a very novel experience for her, but um she's definitely taking it in stride. I don't think she's quite clued in that this is a grandma
Oh,
experience.
mm,
But yeah, no, it's
gosh.
she will gratefully listening, like she will yeah, she will take the candy and she will listen to the talker about family life and stuff, and probably like if TOC asks, will excitedly talk about her research and what she's discovered most recently and the problems that she had at the hospital recently, and just like let her go off about this the things that have been annoying her on campus, just
Oh, absolutely. They're over that like red on roses.
Yeah.
Gosh. I think that's a good spot to leave it on. Just
Yeah.
them sort of like recuperating and having a good moment. You have a little bit of an epilogue, but not much of one.
Yeah, no. If that's that seems perfect to me. So yeah, if you have anything you want to add, go for it.
Mm. The camera swings up from the roof of the mechanic shop building, and it travels out of Toontown across woods and farmlands over to marshland, to a vast sprawling swamp. And it rushes over this swamp to the edge where it turns into a tidal marsh. And at the edge of the tidal marsh is this sort of bleak gravel beach with a cave.
Hmm.
And we don't go too far into the cave, but we can hear someone singing, and it's a lovely tune. It's very jaunty. It's sort of one of those bouncy sort of sea shanties that gets in your mind forever.
Mm.
But the way that they sing is interesting because at one point it's like this very light, airy, genteel woman's voice. And then it's this dark, low, gruff, sort of uh, masculine voice. And then it's a lilting child's voice. And then it's sort of a staccato, sort of business-like voice. Like it jumps from one to another.
Hmm.
And we inside of this cave is strung up little like glass spun bottles, like artistically spun, like made to made to be looked at, but also made to contain things that are very precious.
Hmm.
And we pan over. There's one that seems to contain a green feather. There's one that has a little, it looks like a bolt. There's one that has a delicate pink snowflake. And then there's one that has a shard of something in it, a shard of something that is in the exact form that would have fit in the space on TOC's neck.
Oh man.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Mm.
This has
And
been a ride.
thank you, Candle, so much. I have thrown you so many different curveballs tonight.
Oh, it was great fun. I had so much fun just trying to like puzzle this thing. Oh, like how often do you get the chance to solve a mystery in person? It was so much fun.
Gosh. Thank you, listeners, present and future.
Thank you so much.
Hope you have a wonderful time zone.
Yeah.
Bye.